This is the best angle we're getting. Ignore the mess. I would normally attempt to at least hide it, if not tidy it up, but it's not been a good week, unfortunately. It's almost like the weather really changed from August into September, and it's almost like my body smelt that winter was coming and made me crash. As a result, just went nope. So I've been struggling, and that also means that I haven't been able to complete my previous installment of Stashbusting. I'm not naming them by month anymore because this happens. It's just frustrating because I finished Moan. I'm just waiting on buttons. It was really difficult to find grey buttons, and I need to do the weigh up and all of that and the final Stashbusting totals. But if I were to attempt to do it, it just wouldn't be a standard of performance, if you like. It just wouldn't be of a quality that I'd be happy to put out, because I would literally just be standing there like, yeah, I've used 3 balls of wool. See you next time. Which is not a great note to end a video on, so I'm pausing on that one for now, which is frustrating, but I know I am blessed with an audience who understands that. So thank you for your patience. But that has left me in a bit of a I can't think of the word. I don't really mean lurch, but like when you're sort of suspended precariously between two things. Because do I cast on a new project? Do I try and finish one of my many works in progress now? I'm working on the dog coat, which is going fine. I've just gotten a little bit bored of it. It's quite repetitive. It's quite mindless sort of knitting, which has been good this week, but I've not done much else apart from knit in bed, so I'm just a little bit done with it. I've also, which is quite common for me when I flare, I've broken out in like eczema or dermatitis or whatever on my hands and fingers, and that yarn is particularly kind of toothy and scratchy, that blue yarn, and so it's just irritating a lot, particularly on this finger, because I tension my yarn on that finger. So that's not been great. I could work on the daisy blouse, of course, and actually I'm really frustrated because I really wanted September to be, after I finished Moan, like me bashing out some long-term whips, so sort of like a finish it February but September. So I really wanted to get on with the daisy blouse. I really wanted to get on with my Hexie Puff quilt and just a few other things that are hanging around, and sort of either make a decision or put them to bed or whatever, or like the things I decided to frog in Finish It February, actually frog them and things like that. But I don't have the concentration for the daisy blouse. And Hexie Puffs I've been attempting to knit today, but it's the fine needles. Again, these are 2mm needles. When I'm really tired, I just can't do it. Or I have to take so many breaks that it's just more frustrating. You know, there's currently like 60 stitches here, and I can only do 60 stitches at a time. So I'm having to knit around and rest, and knit around and rest. It's meh. So I have got some other knitting projects on the go, which I'm knitting for a show, actually. One of them is currently blocking, and it's been 2 days, it's been 3 days, and it's still not dry. Britain. And the other one is this crochet granny square, or granny triangle shawl. It's much more teal than that in real life. It's more like this colour. How bizarre.
Alexa,
bedside lamp off. That is so strange. I've had this before with teals though in this camera. Anyway, it's more teal in real life. And so this is sort of going to be like a Victorian travelling shawl. And I did a little bit of research to see if I wanted to try and use a Victorian pattern. And I didn't. But yeah, granny square triangular shawl thing in stripes. Perfectly historically accurate, according to my research. I suppose it's more Edwardian, this piece. But anyway, I could work on that, because that's in acrylic, because stage, it gets sweaty, it'll get dusty, it needs to be able to be washed by somebody who doesn't know what they're doing. So it's in acrylic. Actually, I think it's one of these is real wool. I think the black is real wool. That could be interesting. Anyway, that yarn hasn't come from my stash. It's come from my mum's stash. She has an extensive stash too. So I raided her for that because I needed DK weight and I don't have a lot of DK weight. So I've been working on that, as you can see. I still don't like granny squares. I still don't really like doing them, but it's serving a purpose now. But because it's not from my stash, it's not stash busting. I don't know what else I have to say about all of that. And as always, when I feel like this and I don't want to do anything, or I'm not able to do something, or I'm not able to do much, I'm just so frustrated. And I have to keep reminding myself that even if I am only doing one row at a time on a hexie puff, they are getting there slowly. Even if I am crocheting this, and if I am having to use acrylic to crochet this shawl, which hasn't come from my stash, in this moment, it's fine, you know? But I don't know where I'm going with my own personal sort of wardrobe projects. Hello. I've just seen hanging on the end of my bed, I've got yarn that I bought just there for those, oh God, Fable knitwear. That's what it's called, those Fable knitwear patterns I've bought. So possibly I can swatch for those. It's just whether I can get the needles out. I'll need to check what size they are. Success. Both the antiquity blouse and the folklore ruffle top that I've got the yarn for over there in bed are 4mm needles, and I know I have kicking around here somewhere some 4mm needles, so that should mean I don't have to try and get the box out from under my bed, which is really heavy. So I think I'm going to make some swatches. I'm going to make some swatches. Some swatches. But the yarn I have for the antiquity blouse also is in skein form and needs to be wound up. Do I want to wind it by hand? No, of course I don't. Who am I kidding? Definitely not well enough to do that though, so I might just have to do the swatch for the folklore ruffle top. I could also look for other patterns I want to work on. That's often what I do. And I do have some things on my list that I want to find, like I want to find some patterns to use up my leftover yarn from Moan, because I've got quite a lot of it after my... I've realised what happened. So if you've seen that video, you'll know I did the tuck stitches wrong. And I made the gauge doing the tuck I made the gauge swatch doing the tuck stitches wrong, and then did all my yarn calculations and sizing and tension measuring off that gauge swatch where I'd done it wrong. So of course I wasn't getting the right gauge because I wasn't actually scrunching the fabric up in any way, so I wasn't getting any of the 3D texture. So I was, God knows what I was doing. But as a result, you haven't seen it yet. Well, maybe you have. I haven't filmed it yet, but you might have seen it. The resulting cardigan fits with plenty of room, and I probably could have made the original size I was expecting and not have had to buy any extra yarn. Which is kind of frustrating because now I have all this yarn I have to figure out what to do with. But yeah, I want to find a pattern for that. But I thought that could be quite a fun thing to make something as a Ko-fi members giveaway, to say thank you for my members for supporting me, because it's weeks like this when I'm able to do so little, and I sit here and I get those emails from Ko-fi about such a body supported you on Ko-fi, such a body bought something from your shop, that I am just so grateful for this job and for you all supporting me. I can't tell you, it's, yeah, let's not get too philosophical, but because the mood I'm in I will just cry. So I'm going to see if I can find these 4mm needles and start on swatching. So actually they weren't where I thought they were, but I was able to find my interchangeables, including the ones that I haven't put back yet from Moan. So, killing two birds with one stone here, tidying up after myself. And I'll show you. Although one of my, I don't know if you can see that, one of the cables came out of one of my interchangeable cable sets, and it didn't even like snap, it just completely came out, and I was so frustrated, and my partner fixed it for me with some special glue, which is like industrial strength or something. Anyway, oh yeah, I should add, so it's always weird launching a relationship on social media. Not that I've ever done it before, but when I've seen other people do it, I've gone, that's weird. But I wanted to make sure that my partner was comfortable with it. You know, I didn't want to force him into doing anything he didn't want to do. And I gave him the option. I was like, oh, do you want to be, you know, do you want me to not mention it at all? Do you want to be in it? Do you want me to blur your face? Do you want your voice to be in it? And so he was like, no, I don't want to be in it. If I am in it, you can blur my face. That's fine. And I said to him, do you want me to use your real name? And at first he was like, yeah, I don't care, that's fine. And then he changed his mind and he was like, oh, actually, no, please don't use my real name. And so I offered him the choice of his own pseudonym, and he chose Woody. So now I have to tell everybody, this is my partner, Woody. Yeehaw. So yes, Woody fixed it for me, which was very nice of him. So, got me 4mm needles. I've actually just realised that it's probably better to use my interchangeable set anyway, or to at least have gotten it out, or taken the energy to find it, because if I finish this gauge swatch and I don't get the gauge I need, or it's obvious I'm getting no on, I don't have a fucking ruler. Oh no. So scrap all of that, because that's not going to happen, is it? But anyway, this yarn, Drops Kid Silk, Unicolor, 75% mohair, 25% silk. And it says soft, luxurious in super kid mohair and silk. I will say this one was cheap, relatively. I bought more expensive Rowan reduced for the other one, and it's a lot nicer quality than this. So I don't think this is going to itch me or irritate my dermatitis. You can see skin splitting, that's how bad it is. Oh, is this going to shed everywhere? Okay, here goes. So if I need 20 stitches to 10 centimetres, is that a lot? That's 5. I think I'm going to need a bigger needle than that. I doubt I'm going to get... Well, let's cast on 30. Might have overestimated my yarn tail. Oh, I'd forgotten. Let's hope I don't make any mistakes. Knitting this really makes me realise that whatever that yarn was that I used for... Oh, it's out of shot, but it's hanging on the wardrobe. My God, Ghost Whisperer. I was going to say the pattern was called Park Williams, but that's the designer. Ghost Whisperer by Park Williams. It's definitely not real mohair. It's definitely synthetic. This project is knit in the round, so I should really swatch in the round. Oh, I am not sure about this already. Oh no, they look so pretty.
I'm not quite sure how to help you with that.
I tell you, she's on one at the minute. She's not listening to me, and then she's listening to me when she's not supposed to be. So if you've never... Oh God. You've never done like a swatch in the round. I, of course, learned this from Roxanne Richardson, like I learn everything about knitting from Roxanne Richardson. But if you do it on a double pointed needle or a circular needle, rather than have to make like a massive chunk of knitting, you can just sort of like leave a little loop. Yes, it means that I've got all these like yarn loops that you have to keep managing on your swatch, but you get a more accurate result, because I know my gauge in the round is definitely different to my flat gauge for stockinette, because I'm a continental purler. Don't you know? Not that I'm bragging or anything. The second row's gone a bit easier, so I was worried about this being very white, I seem to remember when it first arrived, but it seems to be knitting up okay so far. I mean, it feels nice. It's not hurting my finger. When I went to the loo, I found a tape measure. So I need 20 stitches to my 10 centimetres. It's quite difficult to measure this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Well, 10 is bang on 5. 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. Have I just stretched it too far? Possibly. And it is my cast on edge. I don't know if you can see that, is definitely warping it. So I think it's close enough. I didn't want to do more than this because unpicking this is not an option, this sort of yarn. I didn't want to use too much of my kind of leeway in terms of yardage on a swatch, in case, because if something goes wrong, I am just going to have to cut it out and start again probably. But yeah, 4mm seemed fine, so yay. Touch itchy maybe. Might do is like something like that. Have a little bit of a test. See how I get on with it. Because I wore dramatic. I wore my, oh goodness knows what it's called, from the Shetland Trader. I finished it about a year ago and it's in Shetland yarn, and I wore that yesterday for the first time in a long time. Fucking hell, it's really itchy, and I don't know if like it's because I'm not very well that I'm noticing it more, or if it's always just been that itchy. But yeah, I just don't have the tolerance for it at all, so I might try soaking it in some of the things that are supposed to help, like vinegar and fabric softener and all those sorts of things. But for now, it's a outerwear garment only, long sleeves worn underneath. Don't really know what I'm going to do now. It's about 5:30 or something, so might get the iPad and start looking at things, or just watching something, doing a little bit of crochet and a little bit on my Hexie Puff, because I don't think I want to be casting on like 200 plus stitches in the round in mohair at this point in my life. I think one of the things that my stash busting rationing journey is teaching me is that if I want pieces in my wardrobe, handmade pieces in my wardrobe that I'm going to wear and love, then I need to buy expensive yarn. There are some instances where I don't care. But like the feel of this, it's just extraordinary. And so if I am going to be buying less stuff, if I am going to be using less stuff, and a lot of the stuff in my stash is stuff I bought. I only really started knitting as a hobby again in 2018, so I've not been knitting that long, and a lot of the stuff in my stash is stuff I've bought as almost a beginner knitter, and I've become a yarn snob basically in my old age. Well, it's not even so much snobbery, it's that in the same way that in my sewing I don't want to wear cheap nasty polyester clothes, and I don't want to be working with polyester, and I don't want to be working with craft cotton, and I don't want to be working with, I don't know what else, old bed sheets, I guess. Now when it comes to my knitting, I don't want to be working with cheap scratchy yarn, even if it's real wool. It is starting to itch a little bit, but it still feels quite soft, so that's good. So I'm staying with my partner, Woody, for a little bit, and I'm still trying to find angles in his house which have nice natural light, but don't show too much of the mess. Because it's one thing like showing your own mess on the internet, but showing somebody else's is a little shady. Is that what I mean? Anyway, I thought I'd show you before I carry on, because I've made quite good progress on the dog coat. So, oh God, this looks so blue on camera. It's not that blue. So I've divided for the arms. So this is the bum of the dog down here. So this is the front legs that these holes are for. And I made them slightly bigger, this gap. And that's partly because the animal shelter, that's one of the things they asked for. They had like a list of requirements that they wanted from their coats, and they were like nice big leg openings so that they don't chafe. So yeah, sure, I can do that. I just cast off, I think, 1 extra stitch. So it's a bit bigger. And I mean, like, I'm going to cast on the same amount again. That should fit. It should fit. So I've got to join these all back up now by casting on over the gaps and knitting. Then I think there's some more shaping, and then I knit a collar, and I'm going to have to modify the collar. But I am still really struggling. And admittedly, I didn't sleep brilliantly today, so that's part of it. But like, I know they talk about the October slide, but like September for me has been infinitely worse for the past couple of years. So maybe I'm just going to have to rebrand it the September slide. What else? Fucking hell. So the reason why I'm probably going to have to leave the collar for another day is because, like I say, I'm going to have to modify it, and I don't think I have the brain power for that. In our discussion about knitting pattern and crochet pattern readability, one of the things a lot of people said they did was they copied and pasted it into a Word document, and I have done that for this pattern because it came free off of somebody's website. You could pay to download the PDF ad-free version, which I mean I could have done, but money is tight for me, so instead I copied and pasted it all and deleted all the adverts and all the bits, and there's multi-sizes, so I deleted all the numbers that weren't for the largest size and all that sort of thing. So I have my own Word document typed out, just black text, white background, just the numbers I need, and it definitely has been helping, but I don't know how I'm going to be able to interpret those instructions for the collar and modify it. I'm sure I'll figure it out. It's just not a problem for today. I have already managed today though to finish the subtitles on my Stashbusting video for episode 3. So I'm not doing them by month anymore. I'm doing them when they're ready because the pressure of doing a monthly was a bit much for me. So this is episode 3. It will have gone to Ko-fi members already. And I'm just given like the first few weeks in September I've had, I'm just so pleased I got it done. And I've already pre-filmed Claude Tries New Things for this month as well. So I've just got to do all the gubbins on that, you know, the thumbnail and description and all of that. Come up with an engaging title. Again, those are not tasks for today. Let's finish this. Or as much as we can. So, my AliExpress buttons are here. They're okay. They're a bit of a warm gunmetal brown compared to Moan. See what I mean? It's not quite the right shade of grey, but I think because of the green, it sort of works. And I think the rounded domey shape really goes with the dots pattern. My only concern is I bought 1.5 mil. They just fit through the buttonholes. Okay. Some of them are snugger than others. Yeah. The quality isn't great, but then Am I being more picky about the quality because I know it came off AliExpress, and if they'd come off Amazon, would I not even have bothered to look? Oh, they'll do, right? Now, I don't think they're the sort of buttons I can sew on with yarn. They're shank buttons, but I don't think the shank is going to be in focus. There we go. Don't think that hole is big enough for me to sew it on with yarn, so I think I'm going to have to use thread. Which is fine, but I still don't know what I'm going to do about the reinforcement, because it's definitely going to need it. Do I sew the buttons on first and then do the reinforcement? Really, I should reinforce the other side as well, because that is also ribbed and is also going to pull. And then I should sew the buttons onto that. And I don't have any grosgrain this wide. Typical. Okay, well, that one's on hold for now then, isn't it? Let's order some grosgrain. And so here we have the finished dog coat. So I've seamed it up. I tried it on Sagan before I seamed it up, so I have no idea whether it will fit him now, but it's very stretchy, so I think it will. And I just wanted to show here, what I ended up doing was I knit to here flat. So I joined here in the round so that I could do some short row shaping, because it became quite obvious that, like, you see how now it curls up because there's extra length here, and it looked like it was going to need that quite desperately on Sagan. So I've done like a polo neck like this that folds back, and that seems to be what the dog rescue asked for in their video, but they modelled that on a much smaller dog. So like if you imagine, like, the dog's ears were sort of almost there, whereas there's a lot more neck on a big dog. So I don't know how far this will actually go. So it might be that we don't need to turn it back. I will, at some point, get Sagan to model it and put the footage in here. But yeah, I'm really pleased with it. It was a really fun little project. Like I say, it's very stretchy, but like the pattern said this was the largest size, and I don't know if you've seen a picture of Sagan or if you're familiar with Vizslas. They have quite a broad chest, but then they're very skinny after the ribs. If you've got a more round dog, maybe like a Labrador, with a sort of tummy or like a broad rear end, this would not go anywhere near this pattern in the terms of the large. So I'm going to bear that in mind when I look for patterns for the knit along, because this was one of the ones that actually included sizes for larger dogs. A lot of them didn't. They were sort of like Chihuahua size and that was it. Or maybe like French Bulldog size at the biggest. So I might be writing my own, who knows? The only thing I don't really like about this is that there's no edging on these openings, and I can, because you've got a dog with long legs, to get the leg in through there can be quite difficult, and so you have to really stretch it. So I think that's probably deliberate, but I am worried that as I stretch it over time, it is just going to rip with no reinforcement. Anyway, this is how much of the blue yarn I have left. So shall we get the scales? Somebody, I can tell you who, Mad Luna, sent me a super thanks on my last video pointing out to me that I have been doing my stash busting calculations wrong since I reset the total. So I was at 125, I was at 100.25 50 gram balls of wool. I bought 19 and a half, so which should have taken me up to 119.75. I used 7.25 for the 1940s waistcoat, and then I used 9.25 for Moan last video. So if we add, they think I should be at 105.18, but I think that must be a typo because that doesn't add up. So 103.25. We are so close to getting under 100 that this dog coat, it will have to have used like 160 grams of wool. Is that right? 162.5 grams of wool. Now, there was originally 500 grams of this blue stuff. Let me angle you down so you can see what I'm on about. Okay. There is 171 left, including the cone. 329. That's 6.58. Let's call it 6.5. Is that right? Have I just lost a thingamabobby of wool? I can't believe it. I need something to put this in because it doesn't want to fit on this scale. Have I lost one of these? Oh, of course, because there's still some left in the jumper, isn't there? That's why that doesn't add up. So, no, that's not going to work. I need something with higher sides. Ah! This is infuriating. So I found this. This is like a wine cooler thing. 189. Does that mean we've still done it? 3.75! Oh my God. Okay, so minus 3.75. 99. 99.5. We did it. Look at this terrible angle, this terrible lighting. What a way to celebrate. Oh my God. I really hope I'm right. And what's more, I've even made a few hexie puffs. Annoyingly, I didn't weigh this and it was over 188. So even if I'm a bit out, that's roughly another half that's gone from here. Not quite half. But how long have we been doing this? How long? A really long time. A really long time. What a better way to celebrate than with some cute dog footage. I can't believe it. Thanks for watching. See you next time.
Oh, good boy. Good boy, Sagan. Good boy. Do you like your coat?
Again.